One 4-digit.
So you're
Not
here.
quite a 4-digit guy. I
So
didn't
do I
join
cross
that.
or cross them? Alright, what's your number? Yes, don't mess with the principal. Don't mess with the principal.
One. I don't see you on there. Any newbie you want to do? Here, wait. Why don't you do?
I like that.
Over.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
28,000.
What is that exactly?
Steve Eves Saturn V.
It's a which?
Steve Eves Saturn V.
28,000 and above.
No, no. What is the machine?
Oh, it's a phone. I'm a Galaxy Note 2.
Oh, okay.
I'm streaming live.
Oh, okay.
So you're being wonderfully watched by 0 viewers.
Cool. Oh, awesome.
Hi, Chris.
Hello. Say hello to 0 viewers.
The 0 viewers. I like it better that way.
She didn't have anything to do.
Alright, Tom, here's yours.
I gotta make a way of mounting this to a tripod.
No, you don't need your card. So I did. Well, if you got your, we have names and numbers as long as she got a badge.
994.
Anybody under 27, 28,000? Under 28,000? Nope. Nope. No, it's a boy. They were. You can't turn a channel. You can't swing.
I don't turn on the TV. Okay?
Nothing else happened in the world today. Nothing. Yes.
56428. Not seeing it. Would you like to try another number?
Nope.
Are you seeing a 56428?
Nope.
Did you register for that? Then you're not on this list. So, but you didn't. Let me check to make sure you didn't vote for it. I got you set.
You're way down.
Kevin Johnson, 7708. That's why I did.
This dude's card. Dude, we get. This is a current list.
I like the photo ID. You're fine. You're fine. I know I am. You want to go?
Now you already voted. I'm a dismissal voter. I thought I did. You're just checking on us. No, I wasn't. Checking on myself. Checking on yourself. Yeah, I do it every year. I come in elected. John breaks the system. John breaks the system. Yeah.
Can I cross myself out? Yes, and you can take 1,000. Oh,
Please
right.
do.
Okay, so we're going to send this through. Hey, Ben?
It's like 719.
Did you see anybody out there that's looking lost?
There you go. You're crossed off.
Vince, you want to go?
She sees her.
All right, has everybody got their ballot that wants one? Yeah, I saw your name too.
Yeah, you voted.
Were you stealing a pencil? Yes, I'm sorry. If I'm not back down here, you get charged. Michaela's.
Don't beat me up.
Hey,
Anybody? I can go down here and look for people. Mark McReynolds, come on.
That's it? Everyone voted? Mark, isn't he back
Should
there?
we start calling out names of people who didn't vote?
Do we know we're here?
Yeah. Glenn,
What?
you didn't vote, man.
Oh, I sent my name.
We didn't get it.
Come get your ballot.
2, 4. You get to vote. Yeah.
I just read you. Unless it's.
You get the abbreviated list. It's just people with the arms and
Choices.
Maybe Glenn's
Yeah, stuff the
I
ballot.
want them like,
Stuff the
want
ballot.
something hard. I marked you off.
What'd you say, Mark did? Mark's back here. Call him out. It may just stick out.
His renewal was processed on June 3rd.
Mark
It goes to
McReynolds?
Rin, it goes to me.
In the mail.
I don't see Mark.
Okay.
else here. The CD didn't move.
He's back there. We saw him come in. Maybe he went back out, but he did come in. Whoever voted? What's your number? 35974.
Oh, nice center 5.
989 Bruce.
Steve Eve 7.5.
Oh, but the fins are too big.
1,600 pound, 40-foot tall rocket. Make it stable.
Anyone else need to vote?
I like this. I like this job. I can take out all the ones I don't like. Lila's not here. No, I know we are. Gas is on. Peter, John B.
Or so.
Okay.
State of the Naram. So, I don't know about all of you, but where I come from, we start most meetings, at least most of the people start meetings with a safety minute, and that's what I intend to do here. So for my safety minute item, I'm going to reinforce that we need to keep our launch rods pointed away from spectators, and I'll be saying more about that as we go. But just some data, this was right out of the JF study. We ran a bunch of fairly sophisticated simulations of launches and failures and wind of varying levels from the same direction. You can see a splash pattern on that graph there on page 4. And you can see that the rockets that come in ballistic go upwind, and the ones that come down on a parachute go downwind. But if you aim the launch rod away from the crowd line, where I say put spectators here, they all go more up and downwind away from the spectators, which is what we want. So we'll be hearing a little bit more about why that's important, but I'll just emphasize that as the first part of the safety minute. So how are we doing? Our membership levels remain high. You'll see on page 5 we have a graph of the membership from November of 2010. You can also stack these, and the curves look remarkably similar, with a little bit of a dip in the winter and then an increase, and then a huge increase in late summer for some reason. Some of this is historical. I'm still learning to interpret where these trends are coming from and why. At the beginning of the month, Neon eliminates between 200 and 600 members as they expire. And then we have to wait and see how many of them renew that month, and usually we end up with more we have in the past, except for these last couple of months here. Get more renewals than folks who drop off, or new members than renewals than folks who drop off. So we've been growing. There's a little bit of a dip at the very end. So the dotted line is so far in July. I expect that to go up a little bit further. The data for June fell because there's a thing called members in suspense, which is when the credit cards hang or your credit card expired when you tried to enroll, but we didn't get around to telling you for a couple of days, and so meanwhile they're hanging there, and then when you get renewed, we go back and manually process it, and Marie cleared out a whole bunch of those, so that's why that little drop came. But in general, we've been going up. We're around 5,500. I just looked, we were too short of 5,500 as of right now. Which is a good solid number. We want to keep growing though. We want to get to 5,800, because the more members we have, our fixed costs are paid for, the variable costs we can manage quite well as the new members come on, and if we got enough members, we might even be able to do a lot more than we're doing now. So that's our goal. If you look at finances, I don't know whether we've distributed this chart very often, but if somebody is enterprising enough and looks up all the board meetings, they can get it. So I just threw out the data for you. We have been running around between $345,000 and $385,000 as a funds balance month over month for forever. Well, since August of 11. Which is a good sizable number. We don't want to be making money every year. We're a nonprofit after all. There's no point in banking it. We've actually been trying to lose money, and we're having a heck of a time losing money every year, because although we offer $10,000 to the sections, not everybody applies, and we have a budget of $5,000 or whatever it is for the $5 membership incentives that we give. If you recruit a member, you get $5. We haven't been getting as many of those as we budgeted for, so, and we're conservative. We don't want to, lose a whole bunch of money, and if we had an accident or an insurance claim or something like that, we'd have to have some money around. But it's, as a whole, we've been breaking even every year, and what we'd like to do is lose a little bit. So we're going to tell you how we're going to spend more money to do that as we go through this meeting. If you look at some of the other highlights, make sure I don't forget anything. The magazine is the best it's ever been. We do 56 pages, like clockwork, every 2 months. We're still paying for the top quality technical articles, so those of you that have cool things that you've been sitting on, write it up for us, because the best way to get the information out there is through our magazine, and get a little pocket change for that next altimeter for doing that, or maybe a motor, maybe a big motor. The outreach programs are doing well. We have, TARC was the largest this year since the very first year when all the publicity started with the Centennial Flight. The 4-H partnership, we had more TARC teams, more 4-H teams in TARC, and the winning team was a 4-H team. So that partnership is strong. NASA SLI is kind of a good news, bad news. The good news is it was the largest SLI ever. The bad news is it's very uncertain whether NASA will be doing that. Their official policy is that they won't be this year, or at least the budget that they submitted. There's all kinds of back channel stuff going on, so we'll just have to wait and see where that goes. We have a new memorandum of understanding with the Seattle Museum of Flight, so they're going to put together an exhibit on the history of model rocketry. The SDs are helping out, Bill Stein is helping out, we're collecting, Trip Barber is organizing efforts that won't start yet, so don't be throwing stuff at them. But soon, we will start actually collecting artifacts from the early history of model rocketry that the exhibit will keep for us and turn into an exhibit. So that's very exciting. So we'll have to have another NARCon in Seattle in a couple of years to go see that much larger exhibit. It'll be like Vern's living room. And then we have a memorandum of understanding that's agreed to in principle, but not yet signed with the Civil Air Patrol. So we have an opportunity to have more cadets. I have a page in here on the diversity of the association. Just not everybody it's easy to get stuck in your own club or your own interest and not realize how many different things we actually do. But we have 0.5% of our members are under the age of 7, which surprised me. I didn't think there were that many. So go kids. 4% are A division, 8% are B division aged, and 87% are us C guys and gals. 341 contest flyers so far this year, and I put those numbers of the A, B, C, and participating members of teams. Yes, sir.
Do you want to take questions as you go, or save it?
If you have something, if you don't understand something, let's do it now.
I at some point like to see a breakdown of the 87%. The concern I see looking around this room is very much like the free flight organizations where our membership is 80.
Okay, I was debating whether to put that, I have that graph, I was debating whether to put that in, but actually that graph isn't as interesting as the graph of people enrolling by year. So that like last year's enrollees and the year before that, you start stacking those curves. So the fact that a lot of us enrolled a long time ago means there's this big part of the curve that keeps passing to the right. But what you really want is newer, younger people coming in to fill in behind us, and that's happening. Not maybe as much as we want, but it's. I was pleased when I did that analysis. So I'll put that in a e-Rocketeer or something coming down the road. Okay, so we have 2,500 high power flyers, over 1,000 level 1, over 1,000 level 2, and almost 400 level 3. So you contest guys and you level 3 high power guys, you're pretty close, it's neck and neck. I don't know who's going to win this race. Keep going. We have 148 teachers who have declared themselves as teachers when they signed up. They get a coupon good for a handbook of model rocketry at a reduced price, if I remember correctly, for doing that. We will be doing that. So we try to make it worth their while. We have a newsletter that they can use to tell us that's where they came from. And we currently have 143 sections, which is over our goal of 140, but we need to spread them out a little more so we have every major census district or metropolitan area with a section, which means we need a launch field, and that's the hard part. More about that in a minute. So let's go to our priority, yes, sir.
Just something for later, maybe a knee rocketeer or something like that. I'm really impressed by the fact that only half of our membership is high power certified. So 2,500 or 3,000 of our members are not high power certified.
Okay, but remember that some of them are kids. So
Not many.
We already
12%.
people by certifying some
Wow.
teenagers, but yeah, we're doing pretty well.
It'd be interesting to see a comparison between the churn rate and high power membership.
Yep.
That'd be interesting.
We could do all kinds of statistics. All I need is volunteers and volunteer statisticians. Okay, let's talk about some of our priorities as an organization. This is the Board of Trustees and I, when I say our, but it should be all of our. I assume it is for most of us. We really need to make flight safety our organization's first priority. It only takes one really bad accident. We came very close on Memorial Day. You'll hear more about that in a minute. To really put us in a hole. And so we just have to always be focusing on safety. We want to keep celebrating all the different kinds of commercial sport rocketry, model rockets, contest rockets, high power rockets, odd rocks, steampunk. We have a whole group doing steampunk now. We might have to have scale events in steampunk. I'm not quite sure how that would work. Jules Verne, it's be a whole new fantasy kind of thing going. International competition, we've got to support all of that, and we're very broad and we're able to do that. We would like to keep growing in size, as I mentioned before. Keep expanding outreach and education. Our whole purpose of it for existing as a 501(c) association is education, at least as far as the IRS is concerned. And we really want to keep reinforcing that, not only because it helps the nation as we get more and more folks interested in aerospace, and we need that, but also because it helps our membership down the road. So the kids that we get interested now, they may drift away for a while, but they'll come back with their own kids down the road. I'm going to continue the previous administration's policy of full transparency and the opportunity to participate. I might even make it more of a, I'll twist your arm if you'll participate, because we could use some help in some areas. I'll tell you about that. So we got some concerns. The major concern is, and this is as you go around looking at different launches and reading, especially reading accounts on various online forums. We have rockets that shouldn't be flown that are still being flown, and being flown with a heads-up call is shouldn't count. That doesn't. If you have to call heads up, you probably shouldn't fly it in the first place. We have near misses, landing mishaps. We've paid out more insurance claims this year so far than we have in the past, mostly for things like dented hoods and punctured car roofs, but we really need to stop doing that. And if we had a major incident, the insurance rates would just go through the roof. They did that for our sister organization. And so we're fortunate that we have a separate insurance company, but those guys they talk to each other. So everything that we do, we need to do well. So I want to focus on three hazards, like just a couple slides. If you were at NARCON, you've seen these before, so bear with me. The three are power lines, fire prevention, and trajectory management. So on page 11, I got power lines. 5 people have died flying rockets in the last, since about 1995, I think. And all 5 died trying to get rockets out of power lines. High power rockets, model rockets, kids rockets, NAR members, not NAR members. We don't want to fool with power lines. So I got a couple pictures. There's a 500 kilovolt line with a rocket hanging very nicely across the ground strap, but down along the transmission lines. That cost $8,000 to get down.
Jesus.
And if they had to shut that, I saw that happen. So the guy comes out in a bike. Wasn't in our club. Yes. Guy comes out in a bucket truck, just a regular old bucket truck, right? And he has to drive up from Minneapolis to this field in North Branch, and it's like a 45-minute drive, and he gets there late, and everybody wants to go home or what. And this little tiny bucket truck, he looks up and he goes, and the kid's all wired up in all these gloves and smocks and helmets, and he has this long pole, and he gets it down and he keeps it. And he says, "What's your name?" And to the guy who's flying it, and they had a talk with him. And if they had to shut that line down, it would have cost over $1 million. It would have cost somebody $1 million. So because they have to reroute power, they can't sell it. This was the line that goes from Ontario Hydro to Chicago. So they ended up moving their field. Can you imagine? But, so everybody knows those are bad, but look at this little 7.2 kilovolt line in the middle. That's what runs through most neighborhoods, right? That's your 3 wires on the pole with the household transformer down below. See that spark? See, that's lethal. That's dry air, and it's sparking across dry air. That'll kill you. So I have seen people say, well, I'll just get a stick. It's almost free. Don't do that. Get the power company to come. Sometimes they do it for free. Sometimes they charge. NAR insurance pays if they charge, if it's over $1,000, yada, yada. But we don't want to kill somebody. It's not worth it. It's just money, right? Try not to fly near the power lines. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. And then fires, lots of Google, I do a Google hit model rocket. And there's a fire in, I think it was Aurora, actually, Aurora, Colorado, or somewhere nearby, that was caused by a model rocket just this spring. And that guy got cited. He wasn't an Naram member, and he was in his backyard and did some dumb things. But again, we cause fires, model rockets cause fires. And there's some guidance there, clear the area around the pads. There's a specific, special, extra requirement if you're flying Sparky motors. The NAR's list that just came out in Sport Rocketry, we put a big exclamation point next to the ones that are Sparky. So as you read across the motor list, you'll see an exclamation point if they're Sparky. So if you see an exclamation point, that means denude the ground. None of this sprinkle a 5-gallon bucket around 30 feet, right? That doesn't do anything. You've got to get all of the combustibles out. You've got to fly off of concrete, and even then it might catch fire. Have adequate firefighting equipment. There is no reason for a section not to have a fire extinguisher. We pay you for them. We did not give away all of our section grant money this year. So if you don't have a fire extinguisher and you didn't ask for one and you have a fire, we're not going to be happy. We'll probably chastise you severely for at least a couple meetings. The other thing is you have to watch both the pad and the flight, because everybody likes to watch the flight, and that's when the fires will get going. If you remember, how many people were in Cincinnati? And yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? No, not at all. And was there adequate firefighting equipment? No.
It was there. It was empty.
There was nice, wet, dry weeds. So watch for that. The other thing is that the rockets that go springing across and land, those ejection charges will cause fires, and if you wander off on your line trying to get there and you're not running, expecting there to be a fire, you might be completely out of control by the time you get there. Finally, trajectory management. The Board of Trustees has a new policy that we're announcing this meeting and will be publicizing broadly, which is that there should be a 5-degree launch angle away from people, away from the crowd, as the default for launches. It doesn't mean you can't change it. It means when you set it up, the assumption is going to be you're 5 degrees away from the crowd. That's an inch per foot. So if you've got a 3-foot rod, you're at 3 inches at the top. It's not that much. It may be more than you used to, but that's what we want. If it's a 6-foot rail, it's got to be over 6 inches. Now, if the wind is doing something, you get a special model. RSO can change it, but the idea is you have to think to change it, not just put it straight up all the time.
Ted,
Yes?
I am making an assumption, since it's not clearly stated, that your J and your M stand for motor size.
Yes, so if you had a 15 by, this is actually a scale drawing, sort of. 500-foot safe distance, so the circles around the M motor and the little circle around the J motor is the 100-foot distance. And then you've got the field size, which is 1,500 by 1,500, and you want the spectators outside of both circles, right? And the rods aimed away from those spectators so that the splash zones, you can see that the little stars are closer to where the pads are, closer to the spectators than where most of the rockets are splashing. That's the idea, keep them splashing way out there, away from us. That's what we want. We had an incident. Has everyone heard of the person that was struck by a high-power rocket in Washington over Memorial Day?
No.
No. Okay. So there was this person that was struck by it was a Lock 4 and an H-238. I have that rocket. That was my level 1 rocket. I've flown that motor. Lots of us have. It was a very experienced NAR member and Triple E member who's on the level 3 CC committee. So I mean, we're not talking a Yahoo, which means this is not something you can dismiss because it could happen to any one of us. Rocket went. It was light variable winds. Rocket went approximately straight up, moved over a little bit towards the crowd. The motor, when it cut off, it had a hard cutoff. You see those on H-238 sometimes. And it extinguished the delay grain. So the delay grain stopped burning, so there was no ejection. Block 4 came in ballistic. There was a guy right behind the flag line looking at a different rocket with binoculars. Didn't hear the heads up. They were screaming heads up. They were blowing the siren. Didn't hear it. Rocket came in, hit his binoculars. He was sitting in a chair, hit his binoculars and cut up his face, either the binoculars or the rocket as it went down. Hit him in the belly and landed in between his legs. He was spent 2 days in the hospital. He had exploratory abdominal surgery to make sure he wasn't severely internally injured, in addition to the lacerations that he had, broke his nose. Lost time from work, had plastic surgery, right? So this is not something we want to ever see happen. It's certainly not something we want to see happen again. All right, so that would possibly have been alleviated if the rod had been forcefully pointed, especially when there's light, calm, or variable winds. You got to force the rockets on a trajectory, right? Get them away from the people. If they come in under parachute and they dent a car, that's bad, but that's at least usually people are running out of the way by then. If they come in ballistic, it's very hard to get out of the way in time. We like to think that you can point at the rocket, say heads up and all that. There's always going to be somebody who's not paying attention. So that's my lesson for tonight. All right. What else we got? The safety codes, this is actually old news. It happened right after the association meeting last summer. So this is left over from the Narcon Town Hall. But we did update the safety codes in August to reflect the NFPA codes that went into effect earlier last summer. And the main thing that you should know is there are a couple things here. Multi-rocket simultaneous launches, that means drag races. If you have more than 10 rockets, model rockets in a drag race, or more than 2 high-power rockets in a drag race, there are new and fairly stringent requirements for doing that. So these 20 model rocket drag races are going to be very far away from people. And that was mostly incited by the world record extravaganzas that seem to always happen in Texas for some reason, where they put up 1,000 Alpha 3s or something. And so there's 1,000 rockets in the air and the parts are raining down on the crowds in the bleachers because they were doing it in a football field. That's got to stop. So more than 10, you need special standoff distances, and more than 2 high-power rockets. So the 10 rocket salvos, you have to be very far away from those. So if you plan on doing something like that, let me know and I'll get you the actual language from the code. Also, high-power rockets, this was a 2-part deal. So last time we said they had to be activated at the pad. Now we're saying they can't be armed until the rocket is ready to launch, upright on the pad. If you've got electronic ejection or staging or air starts, any kind of pyrotechnics going on, they have to be disabled until the rocket is erected and ready to go. And this, as you might remember, is inspired by an LDRS case where a rocket went off while it was on its side, and some folks got burned, and that was also ugly. We did manage to get smaller minimum site dimensions for G and below motors that are still HPR by NFPA definitions, because they might be hybrid or sparky or something like that. So those folks, mostly in New England and other areas with small fields, can start flying some motors that they couldn't fly before. And the code, the upper limit of the model rocket motor is a full G now, because it's not 62.5 grams per comp. That's kind of a little technical change, but anybody wants to be on the NFPA committee, just let us know, because it's so much fun, you just won't believe it. And our insurance coverage was increased again this year. This is left over from the spring. So if this seems old to you, great, because it means you're reading the E-Rocketeer, which I send out every month to your email. If you've checked on your email, you don't want to be bothered and you miss it, but then we put it on the website, so you can go look every month, and there'll be E-Rocketeer. They're usually towards the end of the month, often way towards the end of the month. But all this news has been there. The insurance coverage is now up to $2 million. It's in Canada as well as the United States. We have $1 million of fire damage for the launch premises, which is very unusual and very much desired. That went up from $300K in April when we re-upped. We also automatically cover TARC and SLI team members at section launches. They don't get covered in the schoolyard, but they get covered at an official section launch. And we didn't pay any more money for doing it. We have a great insurance guy. So don't disappoint him. This has been asked of me several times. A NAR member following the NAR safety code has NAR insurance coverage wherever they fly in the US and Canada. And that's true whether they're flying at a NAR launch, a backyard launch, an MDRA launch, or a AAA launch. So that there should be no doubt about that. The section insurance and the site owner's insurance follows whoever is sponsoring the launch. So we don't do site owner's insurance at AAA launches. If you got a joint club, AAA NAR joint group, the club members have to tell both headquarters at least 24 hours ahead of time who's doing the next launch. Otherwise, it's not well defined and things get ugly. So that's that. So that takes care of all the insurance and the safety stuff. Let's talk about some of the other concerns we have. We need to continue to retain and attract new NAR members, so you'll see us continuing some initiatives in that area. We need to start paying a lot more attention to getting launch sites, because that's really a limiter, and a section goes downhill in a hurry as soon as the launch site goes away. So we're going to be doing more in that regard. And we need the sections. We probably have, we can have enough sections. We have lots of sections, but we need to have some sections in areas where people can't get to, and that usually means finding a launch site for them. And we need more volunteers. So one of the things we're going to be doing to make sure we're serving you well is another round of membership surveys. You may recall we did a 2008, a 2011 survey. We got another one coming up in 2014, so about every 3 years. The last several, we did those two in the section leader survey in 2012. There were 4 things that really stood out as needing our effort. One was increased support to sections, and that's what the section grants have been all about. One is to provide better support for efforts to gain or maintain launch site access. That's been hard to get rolling, but I think we're on the path for doing that now. Another one was a website. I'll talk about that in a minute. And then to enhance the how-to article content in sport rocketry. So folks didn't want to read about launch coverage as much, or at least exclusively. They would like to read about, how do you get an altimeter sled into a tiny little rocket and be reliable about it and not take 2 hours to prep it. So we're trying to increase that as well, and the big way for doing that is for you guys who know how to do stuff like that to write an article, send it to Tom, get your $500, get a pat on the back. I will thank you for it. I got a couple board actions that we did over the last, this will be summarizing about the whole year. Some we did this year, some we did this last meeting on Saturday, and some are reaffirmed from before. We still have the goal of 5,800 members, 140 sections, each and the sections total 3,500 members. We're close on some of them, but we really need to keep pushing. That'll make for a much more stable organization than we have now. We're doing the section grants now on a continuous basis, because we don't want people to have to wait to ask for a fire extinguisher once a year or twice a year. We're just saying, if you need a fire extinguisher, send us a letter, we'll get you a fire extinguisher. If you need a pole for a tree, let us know. You need a windsock, let us know. So the section grant program is on a continuous rolling basis until the money runs out, and there's a lot of money in that pot. I don't expect it to run out. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to remind people that the fire extinguishers you're used to seeing on the wall in various facilities are worthless on a rocket range, and what you want are the things that you'll see either on the sport range or the contest range here at Naram.
You need water. You need water. A pressurized water can, it's called the can in the fire department circles. And those are cool because you can refill them yourself. 2.5 gallons of water, put a air check on it and pressurize it, and you're good to go.
And you can buy them used for $60.
You can get them, we'll get you a new one. Forget this looking around.
New ones are about 100.
We'll get it for you. We want you to have water, not a little bucket of water. We want a fire extinguisher. And the other thing you get are the Indian pumps. They're called Indian pumps that have the squirt, and they can carry 5 gallons of water.
Industrial super soaker.
We'll get you beaters, we'll get you brushes, we'll get you whatever you need.
I've used pressurized water ones. They are very effective.
Yep.
Well, Tom, you stated that the section grant is ongoing, but
Yep.
do we have a new limit?
Nope, not as far as you know.
Okay. Okay, cool.
I would like to have that problem. I mean, if I got overrun, well, because I could go to the board and say, can we add more money? And they'd say, yeah, right?
So, we've never turned down a penny you've offered us, so you might be getting a lot from.
I'm trying to figure out what it takes some sections to write a paragraph.
Really?
What do you need? Look it up in the catalog. Here you go. You might actually have to buy it for them and drop ship it and fill it with water. And carry it.
For that service.
Vince Hughley is implementing a new program to certify teachers for rocketry. Did the first course for that at the Science Museum. Museum of Flight. Thank you. Gangbusters, great reviews. That's rolling out, so that'll be fun for the teachers. Will be able to have that piece of paper, and that will get them creds if they want to start a program. And the principals are saying, "Ooh, but it's dangerous." We're still paying for sport rocketry articles. We started an HPR program for recognizing certain milestones. So there's one for supersonic, there's one for every mile in the high you go. So you get the 1 mile award, the 2 mile award, the 3 mile award. There's a bunch of those. That's up on the website. And I said it in eRocketeer, so you can go back and look at those. We have an HPR competition code. So now the thing is to get the sections to start doing high power rocket competition. That would be kind of fun. How high can you go on an H motor? Yes, sir.
With the high power competition code, is that designed to be integrated with normal competition or run as a separate competition?
Oh, let's see for a while. Let's have some and see how it rolls. It's a very different. I mean, H altitude would be. It's a different kind of a field, right? It would all be altimeter based and dual deployment and so on. Let's see how. Let's get some under our belt and we'll see how that rolls. It could be exactly. I mean, Sure. I don't know that I would want to do a I Super Rock. That would be interesting. Yeah, I'd need a crane. We renewed the membership. So here's the deal. Here's how you can all make money. So last July, I was the drug dealer. I had stacks of $5 bills on my dining room table and stacks of envelopes, and I had a list, and I'd stick, 3 envelopes, put a sticker on it, label it, put 7 $5 bills, put a sticker on it, label it. And I gave away a whole bunch of money to people who had recruited NAR members. As long as the NAR member writes on their application who recruited them, $5 is coming your way. So that's going on again. Keep recruiting. Hockheimer, you just got like 20. Where'd you go? Yeah, baby. Cool. And we just bought a whole bunch of stuff for national events. So how's the sound system been going? Been better? Awesome. I understand.
First shift.
Okay.
Maybe better.
We're going to do 10. We've been awarding more Canon teaching grants than we have than the. How do I say this? The Canon auction makes about $2,500 roughly a year, and we're doing about twice that much in the way of grants because we have this pot of money and we want to spend it down. Again, we don't need to have lots of money sitting in banks. We want to be doing good things with it. So we're going to do 10 more Canon teacher grants, 10 NAR scholarships, $2,200 in R&D prizes. Thanks, Bob. Where's Bob? I know he's there. There he is. Thank you, Bob. And I guess, Joyce, we're going to announce the Canon grants.
Would you like me to do that now?
Why don't you do that right now? Sure.
Thank you for supporting the Canon and the scholarship grants. Okay, so we had 12 applicants for Canon, and we had 8 judges, and most of the Canon winners are not here, but some of the judges are. So I want to thank the judges, Katrina Moses, Ray Huchin, Vince Hughley, Stu McNabb, Mark Wise, Mark Johnson, Claude Mena, and me. So we had 8 judges, we had 12 applicants, and we're giving 10 awards. And the 10 teachers that are getting awards are Thomas Bennett in Northwood Middle School, Wakarusa, Indiana, John Benvenuti at John C. Page Elementary School, West Newbury, Massachusetts, Carrie Edwards, Oceana Christian School, Hart, Michigan, Jerry Iacona at William Robinson Elementary School, Hamilton Township, New Jersey, Mary Jane Lasuski, Immaculate Conception School, East Aurora, New York, Sergey Mibecha at Kent Gardens Elementary School, McLean, Virginia, Michael O'Connell, Chester Arthur School, Chester, South Dakota, Matthew Pollard, Paradise Creek Regional High School, Moscow, Idaho, Charles Seymour, Woodlawn Grade School, Woodlawn, Illinois, and Lori Wilson Heritage Middle School, Maryville, Tennessee. So you see we have schools all over the country recognized in this list, and this list will be up on the NAR webpage very soon, so you can look them up. And we had some overlap with our judges for scholarship. We had 7 scholarship judges: Stu McNabb, Roy Huchin, Claude Mena, Mark Johnson, Tom McAtee, Mark Wise, and myself. And by the way, if any of you would like to be judges for either scholarship or canon, it's not that painful a process compared to maybe being on the NFPA board or whatever it is. It sounds good. You're welcome to.
Being on the Naram contest.
Right. But please talk to any of these judges or talk to me if you're interested in serving. If we get more judges, it helps improve our statistics on judging, and we get lots of good suggestions for the criteria and revising the rules later. So our 10 scholarship recipients this time are Calvin Earp of Oak Park, California. He's attending Boston University, Boston, Massachusetts, in aerospace engineering. The second one is Joseph Boyd of Madison, Alabama. He's attending University of Alabama at Huntsville, also majoring in aerospace engineering. You see, there's a lot of aerospace engineers in this list, and a lot of them mentioned TARC as being their inspiration for going into aerospace. The third one is Brian Smith, Ottawa, Illinois, who's going to Purdue University in aerospace engineering also. The next one is Michael Ruzzi of Arnold, Maryland. He's attending Worcester Polytechnic Institute in electrical and computer engineering. The fifth one is Kirsten Ma of Seattle, Washington. She's attending University of Washington in Seattle, majoring in pre-engineering. Ryan Kinsler is our 6th winner from Kingman, Kansas. He's a renewal. He's got the scholarship for a couple of years in a row now. He's attending Hutchinson Community College in Hutchinson, Kansas, and he's majoring in diesel mechanics and farm management. Now he's going to go back and run the family farm, but he's planning to continue his involvement in leading 4-H groups and leading rocketry groups in the area, so he'll stay involved in rocketry.
He's going to be chairman of his county 4-H rocketry program next
there
year.
There it is, right.
Is it a 10,000-acre sod farm?
I'm not sure.
That is wide open country where he's at. It is a great place for high power.
And we kept telling you guys the 4-H in Kansas was really great.
So maybe that's a great investment there. The next winner is Catherine Humphrey of Warren, New Jersey, and she's attending Northeastern University in Boston, Massachusetts, majoring in psychology. The next one is Christopher Dreyer from Aspen, Colorado. He's attending Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, majoring in aeronautical science.
It was very thorough, but was very difficult to actually do. You had to safety check a whole mess of rockets of different kinds, clusters, air starts, and so forth. And it was not enough people were doing that. So we've developed a new trained safety officer program, and we're rolling that out. I would really like to encourage folks to go through that effort, just so we have a consistent approach to doing check-in, especially for these larger regional and national launches. The new website, everybody wants to know about the new website. All of the content has been moved over to a new architecture. The thing that's going to get us is that each of the content owners, so you've got the contest board, and you've got the section activities folks, and you've got headquarters, and you have the people who keep the listings up to date, all of those owners will be able to do it themselves, so they have complete control over the content. Looking at Bruce is, yes, he's nodding good. So all of that content, all of our current content has been moved over to that section. Now what we're doing is cleaning up the formatting bugs and the colors and so on, so it doesn't look too different from what you're used to. We're hoping to have that rolled out in September, so keep an eye on that. I really want to get this done. It's sort of like tripping the new badges. It'll be me and the new website. When that gets done, I'll be a very happy guy. And once we do that, the next layer we can have member-only content, right? So right now you have a member login, and that's good for renewing and not much else yet, but we'd like to have access to a members-only section and members-only content. Yes?
Is there any plan to have a searchable database on the Naram website so you can look up somebody's number if you find a rocket and see who it belongs to? Without calling headquarters, but, in that area?
I'm gonna write that down. That's a good idea. The issue is,
Are you gonna say a privacy issue?
Yep. But
Everybody in and they should.
Anonymous contact system like Craigslist.
we can figure that out, though. We can certainly at least do matching. I want to use that anyway, okay? Number. So there was a sheriff in, help me out, John, was it Washington State? That called up the proprietor, Kai Michelson of Rocket Man, and said, we have this rocket, sir. We have this rocket on a lawn and it's beeping. It landed here. No one knows what it is, but it has your parachute in it. Can you tell us what to do? One of those main apathy deals on a 14,000-foot flight, and went on and on. And on. 34,000, sorry. Yeah, okay. It was even better than I remember. Okay. Yeah. So Kai, of course, said, it's a bomb, it's a bomb! No, he didn't.
Oh my God.
Okay, still happening. We got the expired motor testing program. So I look at that data every so often. Actually, Steve Loveline is running the program now, but I look at the data because I see it, and we still don't, after all you guys testing out hundreds of motors, in order for us to, for example, decide that a motor really isn't worth staying decertified because it's so reliable, we'd have to have certain numbers of test flights on different batches and the same batches of motors of certain categories. So, MRC motors that were all V6s or something. We don't have that yet, so keep flying them if you want. It's very easy. If you want to fly an old motor, we will remove its decertification for your test flight. We're allowed to do that, and you can fly it in an old rocket, hopefully of your choice. We haven't had too many Catos, and we can tell you which ones we have if you want to not wreck a good model. Motorcato.org. So what we used to do with mess reports, we're now doing automatically online. I get to do one tonight because I blew up a nice rocket this afternoon. But if you go to motorcato.org, the neat thing about that is not only is it online, but the data goes out to all the rocketry organizations simultaneously. It's a joint effort, and so we can all keep track of it at the same time, share the data.
if you're gonna do one now, be watching for it.
Okay.
Not mind watching.
Yeah, I haven't had a Cato in a really long time, sadly. Now I have.
Do you need any help getting on the phone?
I think I can manage. I'll give you my beta test notes. We have a Facebook page with 1,400 members, which is going strong. Every once in a while somebody slips in and wants to sell shoes or something and we nix them, but otherwise it's mostly rocketry and pictures, and it's pretty cool, so let us know how that goes. Keep on that. We got rid of, so I have this under still happening. Section renewals are still happening, all right? You have to renew your section. You don't have to renew them by a certain deadline to get insurance certificates. They made it really easy for you. We got rid of the fee. We got rid of the deadline. We automatically sent you the certificate, but you still have to go in there and re-up your section and tell us who your new presidents are if they've changed, and your new contacts, and where you're launching, and what your launch schedule is, and not a lot of people. Who are you and where are you from, sir?
I am the dark side. I'm Randy Bodway, and we have an auction tomorrow night to raise funds for the Cannon Grant, and it is tomorrow night, right? Yeah. So yours is tomorrow. It's tomorrow, right?
No, it's Friday, and I'm going to be the only one there tomorrow to get all the stuff organized.
All right. Anyway, we need to collect items for that auction. We're a little bit behind on getting those items all put together. So, Tom, where are you? Where's Tom Ha? There's the Haas back there. What's your room number again, Tom?
203.
203 is the room number you want to drop those off at. So if you have something to contribute to the auction, or we'll take cash, we don't care. Bring that up tonight to myself or Tom. We'll get it over to room 203, and we're just going to have a ball tomorrow auctioning all that stuff off.
Yeah, don't be knocking any doors at 3.
For 1 a.m. No, 11 o'clock.
Any other questions? John Harkheim, are you still here? Could you rise? This is John Harkheimer's birthday. I think we've managed to pull off a surprise.
Are we going to sing?
I think we need to sing. Sing for yourself. So, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you.
You always made us do it.
You said we have an hour, right? I was born in a small town many years ago. Actually, thank you all very much. It is actually my pleasure to share my birthday evening with you all. And I guess the one thing I'd like to share and hope that you all do tomorrow, like I did today on my birthday, I had a blast doing competition flying today. We had 15 people come over from India to fly with us here at Naram. And my son Andrew and I worked with them all day long. We got 13 streamer duration flights off with them. The kids had a ball. If you saw me, I was probably smiling the whole day. I had a great time. So thank you all. Thanks, Jennifer and everybody, for the birthday present. And I'm only 39.
It's like the 10th anniversary of his 39th birthday.
John, we don't have to scrub our list tomorrow.
Okay, so if there are no more questions before we can eat, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Eat cake.
John.
See you tomorrow night.